When we talked a lot in the discussion on savings, on pension plans and things like that, I would like to show you reality. When we go back for 10 years, when you started, for example, with 100,000 euros, and you did just savings accounts with an average interest rate, the outcome in 10 years after that is now 105,000 euros. When you now think of real purchasing power, because this is what really matters, then your 105,000 euros are just worth 85,000 euros. So in reality, with the most secure investment you could imagine, you lost substantial purchasing power for your pension or whatever investments you're envisaging. So this needs an urgency for change, and an urgency for change means you need to diversify your investments. So just putting the money on the savings account is not enough, definitely, to achieve payments in a pension or retirement age. We put on our webpage www.acb.at Inflationsrechner, where you can do your calculations on your own. So you can choose the time horizon or whatever you would like to take. It's available to play around and get a little bit familiar with all these figures. So, as I said, there's a clear urgency for investment in securities. And there was already Mr. Costolani mentioned by the speakers of tonight. I would again use his powerful words. If you want to sleep well, buy bonds. If you want to eat well, buy shares. So this is definitely not what Mr. Boschan suggested, but that's one of the remarks of Mr. Costolani. And the good thing I would like to add is there's more instruments to choose of than just bonds and shares. And these instruments are certificates. So a very modern, a very state-of-the-art instruments which offer you the opportunity to optimize yield opportunities in comparison with risk. So what the speakers already mentioned is when you choose higher risk, then you should achieve higher yields, and on the contrary, the other way around. So how to fit certificates in this risk schedule? They are usually, when it comes to investment certificates, less risky than buying shares. And they are normally more risky than deposits or bonds. So it's a very good compromise and could be located in the middle. What are certificates? Certificates are just a special form of bonds. They are issued by a bank. So in our case, it's Raiffeisen Zentralbank, the biggest issuer in Austria. These products are traded freely. You can have them with maturity, longer maturities, shorter maturities. They can be equipped with some coupons or not. And they are always dependent on specified underlyings. So this could be stocks, indices, or commodities, whatever. So what is the added value of certificates? And what I like most is that they help to optimize yields, and they help to reduce risks. So they give you the opportunity to participate in several market situations, and at the same time they offer the possibility to reduce your risk of investments. So when I say yield opportunities, this is one of the key USPs of certificates. There's a lot of products out in the market where you can benefit from rising markets. So like shares, like equity funds, ETFs, there's a lot of products out there. But when it comes to falling markets or to sideways markets, then it needs more powerful instruments. And as such, certificates could be there. The second point is that you are very flexible in choosing the risk profile which fits to your personal risk attitude. So certificates available from very safety oriented, like capital guaranteed products, to highly speculative, like leverage products, turbo certificates. So it's your choice what extent of risk and what yield expectation you choose according to your personal situation, according to your personal risk appetite. This can be done very flexible. And the third one I would like to mention is there is very transparent and very clear-cut payout profiles. So you're not depending on markets. You just need to know right from the beginning when there's a movement and the expectation you have is right, then it's very clear what at the end of the maturity will be your payout profile. Transparency is one of the key features certificates offer. You can trade them on the exchanges, like on Vienna Stock Exchange with Mr. Borjan already mentioned this. There's several marketplaces in Germany, for example. You can trade them just with the issuer, so not on an exchange. So there's various possibilities, and these possibilities should be looked into before entering such an investment. This one should explain what types of certificates are there available in the market. The first one is the defensive players is investment products, and the more aggressive players are the leverage products. And when it comes to women, usually we see that there's less risk appetite. So this means that you're in the area of investment products. You will find whatever is best for you. How to trade these instruments? Then there's two possibilities mainly. First one has to be clear that certificate is a security, so you need an investment account open with your bank. And then you have the possibility to go into a primary market, so where new certificates are issued and you just subscribe during a fixed period. The other one is you use secondary markets, so stock exchanges, for example, and you trade at current prices. So this there's a huge quantity of certificates available. Just on Vienna Stock Exchange, there's between 5,000 and 10,000 products you can choose of. So whatever is reasonable and fitting to your risk appetite can be bought there. So this looks like an overcrowded picture when it comes to Corona crisis. And you see that the markets in the last 5 to 6 months have been quite volatile. So there's the chart you can see is the Euro Stoxx 50, so the index which tracks the 50 biggest companies of the Eurozone. So it's comprising blue chips of the Eurozone. And in the upcoming of the crisis, when we had this lockdown, February, March, the markets fell, and this is substantial, 30 38% to the top. You can see here the low at 2,385 euros. And then when there were measures taken by ECB, by government measures, a lot of help programs were started, and this helped stock exchanges and shares, and there was a strong rebound. Now we stand at 3,270 points. This picture would like to show you where the difficulties of investments are. Because on the one hand, everybody tells you invest right now. Timing is not important. It's difficult to do the right timing. So what could you see out of this picture? That it makes a difference when you enter the markets. So the thing to mention is that these market conditions always deliver opportunities. And as we can see from retail investment data of retail brokers over these last month, we can observe that many retail investors decided to use this stock exchange crashes due to Corona crisis for adding to their investments. So they bought shares, funds, certificates, instruments, risky instruments into their portfolios to achieve higher yields, and that was a very, very good timing of a substantial number of retail investors, which could be observed. Yeah, when you say I don't want to risk anything, then the product I would even suggest to use is capital protection certificates. So this is the product with the most safety you could have. It is usually with 90 to 100% capital protection. So there's very limited loss potential, and the profit opportunity arises from a connection to underlying value. So there is for example, in a 100% capital protected instrument, there's no loss. And if markets of the underlying instrument go in the right direction, then there is yield opportunities open. So what does this mean in concrete? I would like to show you one example. This is a capital protection certificate, which is based on the STOXX Global ESG Leaders Select 50 Index. So this is an ESG investment you're choosing. This is the underlying of the certificate. You have a product which is 100% capital protected. So at the end of the term, you get back your invested capital. The term is 10 years. Issue price is 100%. And you participate one by one in the positive index performance. So if these global ESG companies perform well, then you get this performance 100%. This product is actually in a subscription period until July 2021. And after this subscription, it goes to secondary market, so you can buy and sell it anytime you want at a later stage. Yeah, here you get some feeling about this STOXX Global ESG Leaders Index. You see some of the names which are invested in this index. And you see an index chart where you can have a feeling how this index developed. Do these products make sense? So that's always a key question for us as a product producer. We would like to know if we issue our products, what do they mean in terms of performance for our retail investors? And therefore we do yearly observations on the performance of the products, and what we see is all certificates performance with capital protection achieved a yield of 2.21%. This is the average performance of all the products, and this means for a capital protection on average again of 98, so 99%. So just 1% at risk gives you a yearly performance of 2.2% on average. Certificates, as said, is a very young instrument. If you would like to have more information on that, I can recommend you Certificate Forum Austria. This is the association covering all the issues in Austria. They have some statistics, they have some learning material, brochures, like all the issues themselves, but you can find it there as well. Coming to Raiffeisen Zentrobank, Raiffeisen Zentrobank is 100% daughter of Raiffeisen Bank International. Raiffeisen Bank International is the stock exchange listed company, you probably know. We act as a market maker on various exchanges, and we are the largest issuer of these certificates in Austria. So there's a lot of experience in developing all these products. We were 13 times awarded Best Certificates House in Austria. We have currently more than 5,000 products in the public offer, so there's a variety to choose of. We offer more than 400 underlyings, and then you see my team, which I'm very proud to work with. Yeah, information is key. What can you find on our webpage, www.acp.at? This is accessible via various devices. You can find product videos, you can find webinars, certificate finder, which helps you finding right product, newsletters, then the inflation calculator, as I showed, some education material. So there's a lot of material there, and I would cordially invite you to come and see and find out about the beauty of these investment products. Yeah, thank you, and I'm open for questions.
So then I start. I pick up a question by Jovita. Sorry if I pronounced that not correctly. How much is the minimum investment, she asks?
Yeah, this is very different from instrument to instrument because we have certificates which trade just at a price of a few euros. Then it's possible to have this in very small sizes. But normally it's depending on the fees, on your transaction fees, your broker charges. So if you have a very inexpensive brokerage contract, then it's possible to trade 100 euros or 200 euros as well. Normally, on average, we see that the trading size is when it comes to leverage products, it's less, but when it comes to investment products, we see it between 3,000 and 5,000 euros. And this usually makes sense with transaction fees to get a good relationship.
My question would be, we heard about it in the round table. Do you recognize an ongoing trend towards sustainable products also within the field of certificates? Is that something that you observe?
Yes, I agree 100% with that. So we had tremendous inflows in certificates with ESG indices as underlying instruments. So we have out of our whole outstanding volume, we have more than 500 million euros of private individuals buying ESG related certificates. So it's huge.
When I don't know if I got this correctly, but Christoph Borchardt was quite critical before in his keynote about ESG products and the topic. How do you see it? What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think I'm not critical, and I think his remark was rather relating to the efficiency of markets. And yes, all markets nowadays are efficient, and this can be taken for granted. And I think this was the key message he wanted to have. Yeah? ESG investing, to my consideration, makes a lot of sense. That why also authorities would like to favor ESG investing with private clients. So out of performance reasons, I think Christiane said that there's usually an advantage of ESG investments, and coming to a social consideration, it makes a lot of sense. So I'm definitely in favor of it.
Heike, I have a question. When I'm thinking about starting investment, really from the beginning on, yeah, and I think about having funds, ETFs, and so on, at which point do you think I should think about adding certificates to my portfolio? Mm-hmm. Do you have some experience, or do you see a point where someone goes into the certificates topic?
Mm-hmm. So I would not see why you should not start with certificates, because certificates usually, due to their low risk or investment possibilities, are possible for almost every risk appetite. So I don't see why you should not take it as a starting point. What I would, what I would recommend is to start with some products which have a kind of a risk protection. So I would not go with high risk leverage products as a starting point, because the risk is that you lose all your money. But to go for instruments which offer nice opportunities to participate in the markets, but offer a risk protection as well. So like you buy a car and you have insurance covering adverse market conditions. Okay. So to me, whenever you say you would like to invest, then certificates is a very valid option.
How did you manage to really win on the falling markets in the past 3 months?
Mm-hmm. There's instruments where you participate on falling markets. So for example, when you use the DAX index, then the Deutsche Börse calculates a short DAX as well. And the short DAX rises when the markets are falling, so short DAX rises. And when you buy an index certificate on the short DAX, then you win. So if, for example, the market falls by 20%, then your certificate wins 20%.
Otherwise, I would have like a very bold question, I guess. Now, with interviewing you and now with the deep dive, I learned so much about the certificates, and they are obviously great instruments. How come that they're not more popular, or are they popular but in a hidden way, that they're not so like out there?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. This is a very good question, and I ask it myself as well, because I'm so convinced that it's a very powerful instrument, and that's why I do a lot of education around these instruments, because I would like to let people know what is there and how powerful these instruments are. One reason might be that there's a lot of instruments available, and it needs a first step to look into these instruments and to decide what instrument you go for. So it's not as easy if you say, for example, I don't know, there's the biggest share on the Vienna Stock Exchange, I just buy this. There's a variety of products offered, and it needs some knowledge to look into the instruments and to find out what is the right thing for myself. And this is a first step, but the longest journey starts with the first step.
True.